not be afraid of being an Asian American. And especially with the Stop Asian Hate, it is definitely terrifying. You know, we can't just put a mask on top and just call it a day. We have to take pride. And even if there is that fear and tension, we need to remember that we're still here, we're walking, we're breathing, and we have to have an understanding of like, what are we doing as an individual?
I really wish, that they would give us a chance to be, because I always say this to people. I hope they would look at me as Leslie, the leader, the one who helps, the nurse, the one who will do the service, and not as a lesbian. You would feel, by the looks in their eyes, the whispers. I really wish the Asian community, especially Asian American community here in Chicago, would look at me as Leslie and the things that I do, coming from Leslie, not my lifestyle or who I chose to be.
We need to do a better job of showing that acceptance. We have to create those safe spaces. And that will take leadership from the top up. It will take community leaders within our different groups, whichever section of the Asian American community that we belong to.
As individuals, I think you just have to be smart and pay attention to the places that you spend your money. I mean, we live in a capitalist society, and I would ask the Asian American community to just divest from the places that do active harm to the LGBTQ plus community.
I think the problem with our community now, with the Asian American community, is racism within the gay community, within the LGBTQIA community. There's I think that's where we need to focus more, is that we need to be accepting of the community as well. And I think that the Asian American community in itself, has become more inclusive of the idea that we can all coexist. I love that, and I see that more and more, and I see a lot of young queer Asian queers that are out there. I think that, is there a space for improvement? Absolutely. There's always space for embracing each other, but I think we also need to reach out into other people's communities' struggle.
I think it's more so coming into an understanding and also letting go of the model minority myth, letting go of white supremacist expectations of what we are supposed to be and how we define success. So much of our success is tied to American imperialistic expectations, where, the early Asian American immigrants that came here to live a better life, they were force-fed this idea that we had to assimilate into white society, and most of them had to do it for survival.
I would like to see more trans Asians being put front and center. I like to see more trans Asian voices being put front and center. And I think we also need to talk about how that also plays into anti-Blackness and how we need to do a better job of including Black Asians, brown Asians, disabled Asians, Asians who are mixed with Turtle Island Indigenous, or Indigenous Asians who are also brown, Latinx mixed Asians. We need to do a better job of including all of those, because as LGBTQ Asians, we also intersect with every other ethnic and racial identity within the community.
So my advice is, in order to be an ally or to just find a way to help out, is see us as human first. And whether it's left or right, we are completely we're here, because at the end of the day, no matter who you are, we always want to feel loved.
We definitely, what you need to do is start to really organize and advocate for our trans youth, since they are the most marginalized right now. They are experiencing the most harm, especially our disabled, undocumented trans youth.
I always believe in leading by example, right? If people see you, as a good citizen, a good member of the community, I think that's one very important thing that we could do for ourselves and as well as to the community, so that they will see us, they will not see us as the LGBTQ who just who's just there for the Pride Month attending the parade. No, we are leaders. There are things that we could do.
I think we've come a long way to establishing those coalitions. And I think the workplace has done a marvelous job of integrating LGBTQ employee resource groups and the like. And I think we just have to continue to be true to that, be true to the ideal that we set out, which companies have, and it's through their ESG requirements, their environmental, social, and governance requirements, that a lot of companies have recognized that they need to have LGBTQ employee resource groups. They need to provide proper metrics about inclusivity, and then a lot of boards in public companies now are making sure that they have members of the LGBTQ community on the board to ensure that diversity.
I think other Asian Americans need to amplify and organize around. So in case I have to read it out loud, the link is called pinkmentore.com/links, and you'll see a whole list of petitions you can sign, petitions you can organize around. And these are things you can do at home every single day. These are things you can spread to other Asians and Asian Americans. These are things that we have to do to really become more inclusive and really work towards our collective liberation.
I feel like people do not understand that there are so many barriers for trans people to gain stable financial situations, stable jobs, stable employment. I will bump Brave Space Alliance. They are a Black trans-led organization here in Chicago that helps with the trans community here, and they've done a lot. Directly support the GoFundMes of trans people who are trying to transition, right? Without health insurance, I would be paying $6,000 for my hormones. Our livelihoods are so tied down by the health industrial complex. It's ridiculous that we have to go jump through these hoops to secure our life-saving, gender-affirming procedures. Those things are financially blocked off. Our community helps each other. I personally had a GoFundMe for a housing fund because I am moving to California for grad school. That is the biggest thing that will help people. During the drag march for change, one of the people presented told everyone to get their phones out and go to the link in her bio and donate to this one Black disabled trans woman who can't pay rent, right? When we say trans people die and get killed, it is because we do not have our material conditions met. Think about it.
We need to cross these bridges and not just isolate ourselves within our community. We need to just acknowledge each other, that we're all human beings. We're just all here trying to survive, that we're here for each other. Not just marching, not just signing petitions, but actually acknowledging a person with different sexual orientation to say, hey, I celebrate you. And should we see someone experiencing microaggression, is that we call on it. If someone makes a slight comment, I think there's power to calling out people, calling out the Asian Karens, because they do exist, calling out sexism and patriarchalism that's happening in the Asian American community, and in casual conversations, right? When we're in casual conversations with friends, and if they say something that is offensive to the LGBTQIA community, is that we call it out.
If you're hanging out with a group of people and someone says something that isn't okay, always stick up for us. We need that. We're always going to need that right now. And then even in the smallest ways, what I've been thinking about, like walking around during Pride Month, is honestly seeing all of the flags has made me feel so loved and supported by my neighbors.
Pride is universal. It comes in so many different ways.
Pride is beautiful.
Pride is complicated. Pride is difficult. But pride is also beautiful and powerful. And I say those things because as a Black Asian experiencing anti-Asian violence at Pride, experiencing anti-Black violence at Pride many times. And by Pride, I mean the more mainstream, predominantly white, cis heteronormative, and sometimes predominantly straight, white, cis heteronormative Pride.
Pride is leadership. It should represent leadership, and not only always as a background. It should be empowering.
Pride is love.
Pride is a riot. Pride is a protest.
Pride should be every month. We should take pride of who we are, and we should take pride in love.
Pride. Yes. Pride is you.
Yeah.